Hello, I'm Gerald Palumbo with Seasons, a floral design studio here in New York City, and our store Seasons on the Hudson at 45 Main Street in Irvington. Today we're in our store in the city, and I'm going to give a quick demonstration on how you can do a small hand-tied bouquet that will drop beautifully into a little vase that you may have at home. So we're going to start with this little 4-inch glass cube. And what I'm going to do first is I want to add a little bit of the Floralife. This is a little powdered Floralife. We will often give these to our customers in small packages. So you want to add that to the vase first. And I'm using water that's a little on the warm side. It's about as warm as you would wash your hands. The warm water helps the flowers to drink. And you always want to keep the vase relatively full with water. Most flowers like to be kept in high water, not low water. What I'm using today is a leaf lining ribbon. It has the pattern of a tropical leaf, and it's a nice way of covering the stems. Some people don't like to see the stems exposed in the vase. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this ribbon, and I'm just going to drop it right inside the vase, and quite naturally it's going to want to cling to the sides. So you'll see when the arrangement is done that it looks like it's leaf lined. This ribbon's a little bit tall, so what I'm going to do is just shorten it a bit so that it doesn't extend over the top of the vase. So this is perfect and it fits very nicely. So today for a hand-tied bouquet, this is a sort of a nice little staple to do for florists to be able to need to make small arrangements very quickly. So I'll start with the stems and I'll remove any leaves that I have on the bottom of the stems. And today I'm going to work with pinks and whites and greens, and this little flower I'm using here is Bouvardia. As I'm working with the bouquet, I'm removing the leaves because you don't want to have the foliage in the water. That helps to promote the bacteria buildup and shortens the life of the flowers. So I'm removing any of this, and I'm doing this in the right hand and I'm holding it in the left hand, and I'm sort of just gathering it together in a hand-tied bouquet, and I'm looking at it to see what works. We still have hyacinths in season for a little while longer, and again I'm going to take off any of that excess foliage. Particularly hyacinth foliage doesn't tend to hold very well. Oftentimes the flower will look beautiful, but the foliage will start to yellow pretty quickly. So I've got hyacinths and green viburnum and Bouvardia, and I'm going to continue. Of course we have to put peonies in because I don't know anybody that doesn't like peonies. We're getting the local peonies in now, and they're just beautiful. So we'll add a couple of the peonies. And I tell people, designers, when they're first starting out, that when you're working on a color palette, or you're thinking about arranging flowers for the first time, or you're wondering why the flowers aren't really working together, I tell people a lot of times you can't go wrong if you work in a very simple palette. You can start with white, green, and then add another color. Today we're kind of working in the pinks and the greens, and then I want to add a little bit of this white freesia in here for fragrance, and it offers contrast. So you could pretty much do this with just about anything. You could do an orange, white, and green color scheme. That would be beautiful. You could do a yellow, white, and green color scheme. You could do a purple, white, and green color scheme. And these will all work out beautifully. And you see, I'm continue to shape the bouquet as I add flowers, keeping it in this very round, compact design. And this is the direction that I want to go with it. So right now, as you can see, I've stripped all the foliage off the bottom. I'm going to cut them. Now this is only a 4-inch vase, so I'm going to cut them a little taller first, and this is a good way to eyeball it. So I can say, well, that's still a little too high for the vase, so I'm going to cut it a little bit more and just check it. And again, I still think it could be cut a little bit more. It's always good to do a second or third recut. If you cut too short the first time, there's really not much you can do about it afterwards. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this rubber band on to hold all the flowers in place. So I slip the rubber band over some of the stems and I very carefully wrap it around. You don't want it to be too tight. You don't want it to constrict the stems that it's too tight, but you want to hold everything in the top of the vase. And there you have just a beautiful little arrangement for a small dining room table, for a coffee table, and it's all just done in your hand in just a few minutes.